men have this process called the andropause, which is not widely known. And it's also referred to as age-related testosterone decline. So pretty much everyone has heard of the menopause for women. And essentially for women, that's when their primary sex hormone, which is estrogen, fluctuates and then falls away. Now, for men, our primary sex hormone is testosterone, and we don't get this falling away in a narrow period of time like women do. What happens is it peaks in our 20s and then it gradually declines at a steady rate, which means that we can fail to notice the changes until we're like hitting our 40s, our 50s, and suddenly we realize, I feel a bit more lethargic. Maybe I'm having libido issues. I'm putting on more belly fat. I'm not as strong as I was. I've got low level anxiety. I'm struggling with confidence, concentration. All these things can come into play when we have this lower testosterone level, because by the time we hit that age, it could be 30 to 50% lower than it was in its 20s. I think often when you talk about it and you give men a kind of label to understand how they're feeling and how physically they're seeing these changes in their body, there's a little bit of relief. They're like, oh, I kind of thought I was going crazy or it was just aging, but actually there's something hormonal underpinning this. So it's like, oh, I can like actually talk about what that is now. I have a language to understand it and talk about it. So quite often it's relief, and then it's kind of like, okay, well, what can I do now? What can happen when we hit midlife is there's a whole load of things going on. There's not just the hormonal pressures, but there's psychological levers as well. We can start doubting ourselves. We're not feeling and maybe as confident in our bodies. But the mistake I see people making, men in leadership, is driving through. It's this like head in the sand. If I just ignore this for a bit, maybe it will go away on its own. And if I just push that bit harder to compensate for that I am feeling more lethargic, I can push through. And actually that tends to lead to burnout. So that's what I'd see happen in professional life. This failure to go, actually, what's actually going on for me here? Where do I need maybe to take my foot off the accelerator and recover and employ some different strategies? In home life, it often shows up as tending to isolate more from your partner. Again, because men aren't really understanding what's happening with their bodies and how they're feeling, and they don't have the emotional language because they've not been taught it to express what's going on. They can tend to internalize it and just be like, I'm just going to keep this to myself. I'll try and figure it out myself. And of course, that can create emotional distance in the relationship. The main thing that I think men in particular overlook is the psychological work we need to do, because when our hormones change, they affect our psychology, our thinking, our emotional capacity. So I was like, okay, if I'm feeling that the world is glass half empty, right? And this is something that happens as we age. We do start, the research says we get more and more pessimistic. What am I going to do to work against that and change it? So then it was initially starting with like, affirmations. What am I grateful for today? Like setting goals, like making sure I'm moving towards those goals. All these kind of things to work daily towards a positive mindset. Women will grow and maintain their social networks, and when they're with their friends, they'll talk about what's really going on for them at a deep level and talk about what's working for them, what's not. Whereas men, the research says our networks shrink as we get older. Even when we're in them, we're less likely to really talk about what's going on for us, and we're much slower to ask for help from health professionals, whether that's a coach or a doctor. And what I say to men is, like, you can't be masters of everything, right? If you don't know about cars and you've got a problem with your car, you're not going to spend hours on the driveway trying to figure it out. You take it to a mechanic who knows what to do. It's the same with your emotional health, with your psychological health. Get help that will support you and move up to the next level that you want to achieve. Guys, move your body in some way, right? We're far more sedentary than our fathers, and even more sedentary than our grandfathers. And this is one of the contributing factors to poor health and poor hormone health, like lower testosterone. Movement, being active, moving stuff will help maintain our testosterone level. So number one, like, you've got to move your body, like, if not every day, like 2-3 times a week, right? Consciously move it. There's more and more research coming out that we're in a loneliness epidemic at the moment. There's this paradox. We've never been more connected through devices, but actually we're missing that person-to-person connection. And being lonely has the same mortality risk as smoking 17 cigarettes a day, every day. So Get out there, form friendships, form communities, and especially for men, because men are more prone to this than women. Like, build your networks of support and lean into them. If we look back at our day and really examine it, we'll just see we're responding. Like, there's loads of research on this. Something like 96+% of our thoughts are repeated from the day before. Our brain is very effective software at just helping us get through the day without having to overload our systems. But actually, sometimes we want to break that and move from reaction to conscious action. So we're setting ourselves up to move forward in some way. When you're at the bottom of that hole, it can look like it's an awfully long, hard way to climb out of it. I've been there. But part of the thing is acknowledging that you are in a hole, right? Because what we tend to do is like go, oh yeah, I'm in a bit of a hole, but I'll somehow magically come out of it at some point. Stop denying what's happening. Like, be brave and face it. And then think about, okay, like, how do I want to show up in the world? Who is the man that I want to be? And what are the steps I'm going to start to achieve that? It all starts from that decision to change. Just take small steps every day. We have to make lots of small changes that over time are going to compound. So if you're sitting at home at the moment and you're not seeing any friends, and you're not feeling like you're physically good condition, start working on your health. Like, you don't have to hit the gym. Just commit to walking for 10 minutes, 15 minutes every day, and do that every day. You're sending the signal to your subconscious, like, oh, I'm doing something different, and actually I'm sticking to it and it's working. And if you need help and support, then it's not weak to have that. Look at all the top performers in the world. They have multiple coaches for everything they do, because otherwise they wouldn't be the top performers they are. It's never too late. Another thing we tell ourselves is I'm too old now, it's going to be too difficult, it's going to be too hard. Listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say it's going to be easy, but I'll tell you what's hard is staying stuck where you are and feeling gradually worse and worse every day. Just commit. You deserve the best life you can have. So commit to making the change and start to grow it and get out there and explore the world.